Hi there, and welcome to ADO's Studio Quartet Deep Solo Violin. As you could just hear, that was just me playing a little bit real-time improvisation with one of the legatos in the library. But Deep Solo Violin is a true ultra-deep sample library. It has 88 articulations, and each of the articulations for the most part contains multiple velocity layers and round robin, so it's a humongous library, and for that reason we're actually doing 3 different videos. This is the first out of 3 videos. In this video here, I'm going to talk more about the legato that you just heard. We're going to go through the different types of legatos. I'm also going to show you the vast amount of short notes and sustains we have in this library. It goes super deep. The second video is about our arcs. This library comes with a wealth of different arcs and special effects arcs, so Sul Tasto arcs or Ponticello arcs, stuff like that. And in the third video, I'm going to show you the ostinato proportion of the library, our measured articulations, and our performance-based articulations as well. So there's a huge amount of stuff to show you here, which is why we've divided into 3 videos. This is really, I think, the crown jewel in terms of pushing orchestral stuff to a new level in terms of what we're doing. And we've never done anything this deep. You might notice that this is called the Studio Quartet. That means we have both violin, viola, cello, and bass, all with 88 articulations. But this library is only about the violin. The other ones is going to be available shortly as well. So you can truly build a Studio Quartet as well. But let's get into it here. Let me just show you a little bit about the UI and how it works and how deep it actually goes. All right. If you look here at the UI, you're going to see we have 6 different categories. As I mentioned in this video here, I'm going to be covering the short notes and the long notes. That would be our sustains, our trills, our legatos. In the second video, we're going to be looking closer at our boat or arc-based articulations. Some really, really cool crescendo type of arcs as well. In the third video, we're going to look at our measured ostinato-like articulations. You can see we have 12 different types of ostinatos. And then we also have this vast performance-based category. But I thought, just to get to the meat and potatoes of a normal orchestral library, let's just start by looking closer at the 3 different types of legatos here. Then I'll take you through the other articulations here for the longs too. There's so much to show you. And if that wasn't enough, if you open the browser here, right now I have our sort of entire articulation thing loaded, but we also have individual patches. You can actually load things. This is how I normally work with my templates, with individual articulations here, so you can access everything individually. You don't need to use these giant super matrix things where you have 10 articulations stacked. In this one here, we also have our Chordal Legato, which is true polyphonic legato, and I'll demonstrate that in the video as well. So just to give you an idea, it's not just that you have this whole thing here and you can quickly build your articulation matrix by clicking these slots here and just adding up. This is how you would control your key switches. So you can see how quick it is to do a really advanced set of articulations. I'm doing this in real time here. That's how fast it is. It's automatically assigned to your key switches. You can change it over here as well. But let's go into the legato here and long here. I'm just going to use this as an overview for you to see where we are, and then over here in these modules I'll go through the individual articulations. So as you saw in the intro, the normal legato is incredibly nimble as well. We actually have another run building legato, but it's not like the first one can't play fast. And it's actually built in 3 different velocity layers. If you play very soft, you get portamento. If you play at a normal range, that would be the well-tempered aspect of the piano, you get something like this. And if you play harder on your keys, you get more of a détaché. We also have con Sordino legato, that would be true mutes on your strings. We also have legato run, so if you want to play even faster than you do on your normal legato, you can do that. I should also try to show you the 2 different microphones we have in the library. We have one which is very near field, and then we have one that's a little further away in the studio. So depending on what sound you're looking for, you can also make this into a second violin if you want. The sound is notably different between the 2. Let me just A-B them here. This is sort of in between. And this is a little further in the room. It's not too much. It doesn't get roomy, but just gives it a little more. And all the way down. We also have 4 different types of trills, so both minor and major variations of second and thirds. And harmonics. Now, before we go over and I show you the wealth of sustained notes as well, let me just try to show you our chordal or true polyphonic legato. As you may know, the term true legato has sort of been loosely used over the years. This took us 3 years to figure out in terms of creating an elaborate script that can detect your playing behavior. This is truly polyphonic in terms of legato, so the actual intervals are triggered, and it totally works right on the keys. Let me just show you that before we get into the sustains, because it's neat. But that was 2 notes. Let's add it up with 3 notes, going in multiple directions. One of the things that took a while for us was to figure out how to do counterpoint, because the computer has a hard time reading where the intervals go, but it's actually possible. All right, let's move into the sustains, and even these guys here are so playable. We really went deep in terms of finding different types of vibrato, all the stuff that we need to make an emotional composition. It's not just a dead string. I always say that if you feel uninspired on the keys, you can't make great music with a patch. It just has to work. But check these out in terms of how emotional and soothing they are. You can feel the player. And with more vibrato, that really sort of sad sound. And concertino. And it's not just that we have different types of sustains, it's also that they are velocity layered in multiple layers. Check out the Sordino here, for example, how breathy it is here on the low. And as you dial the mod wheel up, it becomes more and more alive, vibrant, and dynamic. So you really got a beautiful, wide range of expression, even on the sustains. And it allows you to really sort of sculpt through all the emotions dynamically. Let me also show you the Sul Tasto sustains here. And the Sul Ponticello. And you might notice that we have something called plus down here. This is where we ask the player to do another variation of the same articulation, in this case Sul Ponticello, but with an even more exaggerated kind of crazy behavior around it. These are good for sound design. Let's also try the Punta D'Arco here. And you can see here with the plus sign as well, this would be a tremolo, really, really intense. And of course, with any ultra deep sample library with respect for itself, you don't just do pizzicato, you do 4 different types of pizzicato. Let's just start here with pizzicato tremolo. And if you look over here on the short notes, we're going to get into them in a second here. You're going to notice the 3 other types of just pizzicatos alone. Normal pizzicato, pizzicato with vibrato. Okay, so that was the legato and sustained proportion of the library, but I also want to take a little bit of time and to show you the short notes. They go deep. They go very, very deep. And let me just show you how quickly you can actually build your own articulation matrix here. We're in the short notes here. I'm just going to start populating a variety of things here. So you can see I'm loading articulations into the matrix here. Each of them automatically gets assigned to a key switch. You can see the key switch is out here. And this is really how quickly you can build your own matrix here. As quick as I'm doing it, this is all in real time. And now I have 9 different short note articulations loaded right on the keys here. Let's start with the Martele hanging here. That's the equivalent of what we normally in sample world call spiccatos, but it's actually not the precise term. And we have the Martele or the spiccato abrupt. This is a slightly shorter variation of the same one. Now, where it gets fun is also starting to combine different articulations. Let me just play the Martele hanging here and combine it with, let's say, like a Marcato. Or we can do the Martele abrupt and try to combine it with our Virtuoso, which is a different type of Marcato. We also got volantes. We have collé, which is sort of almost like a Bartok style articulation, but not quite. And if we just combine these 4, the 2 Marteles, the volante, and the col side by side, it shows you our obsession with super short notes. Let me also play a little bit with the Marcatos and the Virtuoso here. One of the beautiful aspects about them is that they're both velocity and round-robin based as well, so you can actually play them standalone. We paid a lot of attention to the percussive attack on the Marcato and the Virtuoso, so you don't really need to use short notes like we just did. You can actually play them completely standalone as well. Let's try it. And the 3 types of pizzicato. And if you like things of a more sort of percussive short note nature, we have the collegnos and the Bartoks as well. But then again, like, what about like short notes like Marteles or Marcatos, but for Sordino? Well, we got that too. me just compare them to the normal Marteles. And we have the collays for concertinos too. And Marcatos. And just to wrap up the short note frenzy, we also have 3 different types of trills. They're not playing like a normal trill, they actually stop, so they're more percussive in their definition. But let's wrap the video up here by playing a little more with our chordal polyphonic legato. Again, if you go into the browser here and look, you'll notice that there's actually 6 different types of chordal legatos under our longs here. We have them both natural, meaning they don't have sustains attached to them, and we also have normal legatos that have sustains to them. But we also have it for traditional legato, concertino, and for run building legato as well. So there's an enormous amount of things you can do. I just want to show you how it works, because it's not just that it's polyphonic, it's also monophonic. So you can actually go from monophonic playing styles into polyphony on the same patch here without any key switches or mod wheels or anything, just right on the keys. Let me just show how that works. And you can actually go even from like a single note into like full-on chord, or do it all combined. Let me just play from single note to chord. Or you can just play full-on chords and just do any kind of like movement. And let me just try as a last little bit here to play with our true Sordino chordal legato as well, polyphonically and monophonically.